One man who saw the destruction of 9/11 firsthand is speaking out about the case against Moussaoui tonight. Lloyd England was driving his taxi cab next to the Pentagon when Flight 77 flew over him and crashed into the building. Tony Dorsey spoke with him tonight and joins us from Arlington with more. Tony?
That's right, Doreen. Lloyd England wasn't just a witness, he was also a survivor. He very nearly died on one of the roads behind me, leading to the Pentagon. Lloyd England doesn't know why he was spared on September 11th, and he also has a question for the only person convicted of taking part in the terrorist attacks.
Why are you involved? Why are you taking responsibility for this? You know, because it's a big thing.
England was behind the wheel of his cab that September day, driving near the Pentagon.
The plane was so low it hit the pole. When it hit the pole, it knocked the light part off. And nothing came through the pole to the car but the pole itself.
The light pole shaft speared its way through England's cab, pushing the passenger side of his seat backwards into the rear of the car. A few feet to the right, and England would have been crushed.
I had to wrestle with the car to stop it. And when I did stop the car, there was no noise.
The jet's thunderous engines had been silenced by the fiery crash.
Witnesses independently and unanimously confirm a north side approach, fatal to all official data, reports, and the physical damage. All of these witnesses have worked in the area for many years and are extremely familiar with the topography and landmarks. Some have been officially documented reporting the same thing only weeks after the event, and others are aviation professionals and police officers who are therefore expert witnesses. Absolutely none of the independent witnesses willing to go on record have supported a south side approach. As unanimously demonstrated by the witnesses, the plane was nowhere near the 5 down light poles. But it was furthest from light pole number 1, which is what cab driver Lloyd England claims he lifted out of the windshield of his cab minutes after the attack. Specifications obtained from the Virginia Department of Transportation reveal that this light pole stood 40 feet tall and weighed 247 pounds. Not a single photograph exists showing the pole inside the cab. Not a single witness exists who says they saw the pole inside the cab or the cab driver removing the pole. Most importantly, they all say the plane was nowhere near the light poles. Yet Lloyd claims he came to a stop sideways on the road, with the over 30-foot long light pole still sticking out over the hood. And that a silent stranger helped him remove the pole from the car.
A car was coming, well, I guess you call it more or less a van, and I asked the guy, would he help me get the pole out? So he stopped, he never said a word. I said, man, it's mighty quiet, it's so quiet. And he never said a word. He helped me get the pole out. The pole happened to be bent when we pulled the pole out, and the pole was bent, and the bent part took me down to the ground. I fell down on my back, but I held the pole up and laid the pole down, and he got in his van and went on down the road.
This would mean that a 90-ton Boeing traveling 530 miles per hour factored with the kinetic energy of the cab traveling about 40 miles per hour in the opposite direction, would surely cause at least some damage to the hood of his car.
And to clarify, it was the large piece of the base of
the large piece that was sticking out across the hood.
Wow.
The pole came right on through to the back seat. If anybody had been sitting in the back, sitting in the front on the right side, the pole would have went through them.
Sure. And it actually was laying on your hood then.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. But there are no scratches on the hood.
The sheer weight and length of the pole, in context with the physics of the scenario described by Lloyd, when compared with the total lack of damage to the hood of the cab, reveals a situation that is beyond implausible. But don't forget, the witnesses proved the plane was nowhere near the bridge, light pole number 1, or the cab, explaining why this scene is so questionable and beyond physically implausible. Lloyd was confronted with this information in June of 2008 and had a very odd reaction. Before the on-camera interview began, unaware he was being audio recorded, Lloyd let it slip that he knew his cab and the light pole were on the bridge.
One guy took pictures. He lives right on 17th Street.
He took pictures of the event?
And he was up on the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
He was up on the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
He was up on the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
He took pictures of the pole.
Oh, the pole, right.
He took pictures of the car.
Right.
And as far as I know, he still has them.
But when the camera started, Lloyd said the complete opposite and refused to admit he was anywhere near the bridge.
So what's up? That's the big question, Lloyd. I mean, you said the government never did anything, never investigated your cab or took it in for evidence, right?
No, they did not. And I was interviewed by the FBI once they knew I was still alive because my wife works for them. And
She works for the FBI?
Yeah, and she said that they were saying that they had a problem trying to locate me. She said, well, I see him every day.
Here's what's going on, Lloyd. We've talked to dozens of people, like I said.
No problem.
Most of them saw the plane for a big, long time coming.
Right.
All these guys, they were at Arlington Cemetery right here in the maintenance buildings. We talked to all the people who were at the Sitco station right here. Now, your car on the road, on the side of the road, in this picture, was right here.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, we got pictures of it. Here it is.
My car is not there.
No, we got pictures of it.
No, my car was not there.
I can pull it up. I'll show
I
you.
don't care what you do. My car was at the Pentagon. My car was not across this bridge.
It was on this bridge. I'll show you the picture.
No, it wasn't. My car was back here. It was not down here. This is
What
Columbia
was it doing
Pike.
here?
That's where I was driving. I came up off of. I'm coming from Roslyn, and coming from Roslyn, what we call H Road.
So where are you trying to say the car was here?
The car was back here.
Okay. It says we know that the poles were down here. So you're saying the car was like up here.
That's right.
After a road trip to go physically examine Lloyd's cab from 9/11 that he had preserved under a tarp 90 miles away on his other property in the country, we were able to show him the images proving his scene with the cab and the pole was just south of the bridge.
This picture right here, here you are, see? The car's kind of surrounded by these guys. There's the pole right here. Now see what this is? That's the cobblestone from the bridge. Now take a look at this. Come over here. Here's the bridge right here. Now there's your cab. It's sideways on the side of the road. With the hole in it, the pole's laying down right over there. The pole used to be up right here. This is pole number 1. Well, you're right on the bridge.
No.
That's your cab, right? Look close. See that?
Faced the wrong way.
No, it's facing the same way. Facing the same way it was right here. This is taken from the other side. This way it's facing. Look at that one.
I've never seen that picture there before.
You never saw it? This is Jason Ingersoll. He was a Navy military photographer. Here's your cab, right?
That's not.
See your cab? See it? There's the grill. You see you right here. You're wearing the cap.
Yeah, I see it. I see it.
All right. Now there's the pole. That's your pole. See the bend?
Yeah.
That's the pole you pulled out, right? There's your cab. I mean, it couldn't be any other pole. The lamp is down next to it. But see how it's got the cobblestone?
I see the sign.
That's the sign.
But that's not.
And that's the cobblestone
That's not.
from the bridge.
I see that from the bridge, but that's not where it happened.
Well, how come it's not where it happened? Well, how did they get there then?
I can't explain that. I've never seen that before.
You never saw?
I've never seen that. The bridge, where the plane went across and where the pole came in, there was no bridge. He took us to the pole, he took us to the car, he was up on the bridge.
But that's the bridge.
That is a bridge, but that's not the bridge.
Well, there's only one bridge in the area.
I know, but that's not where I was.
There's the cab, right?
Okay?
That's the bridge. Here's the signs.
That's not where it happened.
What? So what about this image? Are you suggesting, well, is this your cab?
The only thing I can say is where it happened is not on the bridge.
This is what I'm not getting. You're saying, like right here, you can see your cab, right?
I see a cab, yeah.
Well, you see how it's got the hole in there. It's the same cab we just went to go see on your property.
Okay.
And this is from 9/11. You see it smoking still. And there's the bridge. This is the south of the bridge. That's the sign right there.
How far is that smoke back?
I don't even care about that. All I know is you're to the south of the bridge.
But I'm not.
Lloyd continued to refuse to admit that the photographs prove he was located on the bridge. But he already let it slip minutes before the earlier interview started that he knew his neighbor took pictures of his cab and the light pole on the bridge. This proves that Lloyd was deliberately changing his position on the highway for the interview to match up with where all the witnesses saw the plane. We later that night went with Lloyd to obtain the independent photographs from his neighbor. Immediately after obtaining the images, we drove to the scene of the crime.
I did not come around that way. Not down at this bridge. And he was up on the bridge.
Mm-hmm. Even the picture your friend Mike just showed us.
I can see.
You see that, right?
I can see.
How can that be?
Well, I'm only telling you what happened.
You're telling us something that's completely different from the picture.
I have no problem with that.
Okay, we're on the north side again. You're saying, where were you?
I'm saying that
you weren't even...
Where these signs are right here.
Were these signs right here?
Right here. These signs right here where I was at.
Before them? Right. North of them?
No, this is where the pictures were taken.
No, they weren't. There's no cobblestone there.
Well, I'm telling you, that's where I was.
There's no cobblestone.
That's where I was.
This is the signs that you see in the images.
I understand that, but that's where I was.
These are the images. The VDOT pole, the VDOT camera pole, all of that. The cobblestone, look at the cobblestone bridge. That's you. You're standing right next to it. See that?
I have no problem with that. I was not down.
See the cobblestone?
I was not here.
That's where you were.
I was not here.
Lloyd was much more candid when he didn't realize he was being recorded.
You know what his story is? Just what I said. You got to understand what you're saying. Not the truth. It's his story. Right. It has nothing to do with the truth. It's his story. This is too big for me, man. This is a big thing. Man, you know, this is a world thing happening. I'm a small man. You know, right. My lifestyle is completely different from this.
Right.
I'm not supposed to be involved in this. This is for other people who have money and all this kind of stuff.
But you said, oh wait, what do you mean?
Well, I'm not supposed to be involved in this. I don't have nothing.
So is your point that these people that have all the money,
this is their thing.
This is their event.
This is for them.
Meaning they're doing it for their own reasons.
That's right. I'm not supposed to be in it.
But they used you, right?
I'm in it.
You're in it.
Yeah, we came across the highway together.
You and their event.
That's right.
But they must have planned that.
It was planned. One thing about it, you got to understand something. When people do things and get away with it, eventually it's going to come to me. And when it comes to me, it's going to be so big I can't do nothing about it. And when it comes to me, it's going to be so big I can't do nothing about it. So it has to be stopped in the beginning when it's small to keep it from spreading.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Lloyd, in essence, admitted his involvement in the 9/11 black operation, but he was cautious not to outright confess. He worked hard to distance himself from the planners, while admitting it was planned. Regardless of Lloyd's true level of involvement, the independent evidence for a north side approach proves the cab and light pole scene staged, and that the plane did not hit the Pentagon. For a thorough analysis of the NTSB-released alleged flight data recorder exposing fatal anomalies, please see pilotsfor911truth.org. For more north side approach witnesses, and a comprehensive strategy as to how you can take action on this important information, please visit citizeninvestigationteam.com. What you have just witnessed is conclusive evidence proving that the 9/11 attack on the Pentagon was a carefully planned and skillfully executed military deception. As shown, the evidence proves the plane actually flew directly over the Navy Annex and north of the former Citgo gas station, and therefore did not hit the light poles or the building. If you still do not understand why the north side approach proves the plane did not hit the building, please watch this video again and study the images. Again, a plane on this flight path cannot hit the light poles, show up low and level across the lawn as seen in the dubious surveillance video, and cause the directional external and internal damage leading to the curiously round C-ring hole outlined in the ASCE Building Performance Report. It is important to understand that, contrary to popular belief, the Pentagon is not located in the restricted airspace in Washington, D.C., but across the Potomac River in Arlington, Virginia. It is also about 1 mile from Reagan National Airport, so low-flying commercial jets are approaching and departing in the airspace over and near the building every few minutes all day every day. A plane making a steep ascent over the Potomac River is a very common sight. Additionally, fraudulent media reports of a second plane that allegedly shadowed the attack jet and veered away at the last moment were disseminated within the first few days of the attack. While there was a C-130 cargo plane that flew into the scene about 3 minutes after the attack, as confirmed by photographs, video, many eyewitnesses, and the pilot himself, Lieutenant Colonel Steve O'Brien, select media sources falsely reported accounts of this plane, implying and outright stating that it was in the airspace at the same time as the attack. By doing this, the story of a very real second plane seen in the skies minutes later was morphed with the attack in order to later serve as confusion and provide a plausible explanation for the genuine witnesses who really saw the attack jet flying away during the explosion, and not a second plane. This is likely one of the reasons they had the attack jet fly on the north side in the first place. It assured that people who saw the plane flying away just after the fireball could be confidently told that they must have seen a second plane, while simply missing AA-77 hitting the building from the south side. It's now clear that this worked wonders, as Pentagon police officer Roosevelt Roberts Jr. convinced himself that the plane he saw at about 50 feet altitude, flying away immediately after the explosion, was another plane. Also worth noting is that light pole number 1 was the only pole that needed to be staged real-time in the street. The other 4 poles were left lying in the grass, unnoticeable to passing motorists. These poles were more than likely placed the night before. Heliport Tower Air Traffic Controller Sean Boger confirmed that President George W. Bush had conveniently departed from the heliport on September 10th and was scheduled to fly back to the heliport on September 11th around 12 noon, and that Secret Service had been combing the area as usual. So operatives under the cover of Secret Service or Special Security conducting routine presidential security operations had the necessary cover to do whatever they needed to do in preparation for the event. When the interviews shown in this presentation were conducted, none of these witnesses were even remotely aware that their accounts contradicted the official flight path and proved that the plane did not hit the building. They were only willing to talk because they were successfully deceived and assumed that the plane must have hit the building. Despite each having a perfect view of the plane as it passed by them at treetop level, Most of them were not able to see the alleged impact point, or in some cases any part of the Pentagon at all. Many witnesses also described how they were ducking and running for cover before the plane reached the building.
Nobody was really trying to look to see if it actually was going to hit the building or not hit the building. So everybody was running in the opposite direction for their lives.
Now that they have been made aware of the implications of seeing the plane on the north side, many have been reticent to further discuss their experiences. However, Officer Brooks said our findings were a, quote, eye-opener, and that anything is possible when it comes to him being fooled that day. Officer Legacy admitted that he flinched when he saw the jet and then jumped into his police cruiser, grabbing his radio.
The first thing I did was I kind of flinched. And ducked into my car. And at the time, I mean, I don't know if it was a reaction, like a fear or whatever, but I ended up in my car.
He admitted that he did not see what the plane actually did as it reached the building because of the fireball.
Did I see what the plane did? No, because there's a big fireball.
Both police officers at the gas station have agreed that we presented their accounts fairly and accurately, and to this day they stand by where they saw the plane, even after being made aware of the implications. They have both stated they would testify to this under oath in a court of law. Meanwhile, their superiors have restricted them from speaking about their experience on 9/11 to the media any longer. Officer Roosevelt Roberts, who saw the plane flying away from the building after the explosion, was also unaware of the implications until speaking with us. Like many of the other witnesses, he is no longer willing to speak about his experience on 9/11. The fact remains that all of these witnesses can be subpoenaed for a grand jury or congressional hearing as a means to sort out who to indict as responsible for this event, so this is what we are calling for. It is now your responsibility to get involved, just as we had a responsibility to get this information into your hands. This deception has been used as a pretext for the invasion and occupation of numerous sovereign nations, leaving thousands of U.S. troops and hundreds of thousands of civilians dead and the lives of millions more destroyed. It has been and is still being used to justify torture, secret arrests, warrantless wiretapping, the Patriot Act, the Military Commissions Act, the Real ID Act, and a whole host of other authoritarian programs which undermine the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights. The 9/11 lie will continue to threaten peace, freedom, and justice in the United States and around the world, as long as the information presented in this video and all the evidence exposing this deception remains suppressed. Inaction to this information by the current administration, as the fraudulent war on terror is perpetuated under any other name, leaves them not only responsible for the continued bloodshed, but implicated in a cover-up and therefore complicit. Furthermore, inaction by any media, political, or authority figures who have viewed this information amounts to a crime of obstruction of justice. But just as importantly, inaction by any of us would be a grave injustice upon our children and grandchildren, who will suffer the most in a world that is being created under the fear-mongering false banner of fighting terrorism. We are calling on all concerned citizens to join us in a nonviolent campaign to force accountability, while demanding an immediate and indefinite moratorium to all military action, defense spending, and unconstitutional programs which emanate from the 9/11 deception.
From my close-up inspection, there's no evidence of a plane having crashed anywhere near the Pentagon. The only site is the actual side of the building that's crashed in, and as I said, the only pieces left that you can see are small enough that you could pick up in your hand. There are no large tail sections, wing sections, a fuselage, nothing like that anywhere around, which would indicate that the entire plane crashed into the side of the Pentagon and then caused the side to collapse. Now, even though if you look at the pictures of the Pentagon, you see that the floors have all collapsed, that didn't happen immediately. It wasn't until almost about 45 minutes later that the structure was weakened enough that all of the floors collapsed.